This is an anime review for Big Windup. This is a sports and youth anime aired in 2007 based on a baseball-themed manga series by Asa Higuchi in 2003. It's a 2-season anime. First season has 25 episodes, second season has 13 episodes, each containing special episodes. Season 1 is dubbed, but Season 2 is not, so feel free to watch what you'd like. Plot summary is baseball pitcher Ren Mihashi tries to regain his self-confidence and lead his team to victory. The story itself follows a new team of freshmen working to build a name for themselves while playing baseball. Main character Mihashi's middle school baseball years seem to have left him traumatized. Terrified of having no skill in pitching, he's reluctant to play again in high school. However, a catcher sees his untrained potential and promises to turn him into a proper ace. Ren Mihashi, pitcher. He's very timid and nervous with an extreme lack of self-confidence. When talking, he can barely get the words out. The stress and fear he feels causes him tears, sickness, loss of sleep. If I had a list of the most anxious characters I've seen, he'd definitely be on it. Mention Abe. He's a catcher. He seems to have this thing against pitchers. He's loud without realizing. Seems to have gone through his own stuff during middle school. Also, Maria Momoe. She's the coach. Played softball in high school. She has skill in baseball and the strength to put the fear of God into them. She seems quite tough, but from what I remember, she's pretty understanding of each member's situation and past. She works very hard to keep the club afloat, and I'd say she's a very respectable character. I'll also mention that there's plenty of other characters, each interesting in their own right, but these are the three I'll mention from their strong first episode appearances. I felt that they very accurately displayed the personality and mindsets of each character. Example being Mihashi, you can easily discern his quirks from the way he talks, his facial expressions, and his own opinions. They did a great job with the art and the animation. I've always enjoyed the 2000s. Each character's emotions and persona was displayed very well. There weren't any crazy, distinct character designs, so you really got to focus on each member's personality and abilities. 2 words to describe the team's development I'd use is competitive and wholesome. Like other sports anime, you pretty much get to meet the whole team eventually, and as the series progresses, there is a definite development in relationships, mindsets, and personal logic that's seen as they get closer, giving you the chance to find and connect with those simple yet relatable characters. Personally, the duo of Abe and Mihashi was definitely a favorite, if not memorable. The loud and angry, plus the nervous and timid. It honestly at some point reminded me of Bakugo and Deku, minus the bullying. Abe gets loud and has little patience. Mihashi, who seems to be in a constant state of terror, really needs time to get his words out. It was fun watching them go from I can't handle people like him to wanting to find ways to communicate with each other. Before this show, I'd never watched a baseball anime or ever played baseball, so my understanding was limited, but they gave easy-to-understand explanations and even interesting insight as to why characters like Mihashi pitched the way he did, and why certain catchers only worked with certain pitchers. They also added lots of mental knowledge and brain training I'd never heard about before that was really cool to learn about. Examples of this start by episode 2. Okay. The first downside I can think of when watching the show is it ending when it did. It wasn't exactly a cliffhanger or anything, but it felt like it ended fine when it could have continued and become even better. There's also the problem of trying to compare it to other famous sports anime, and doing so makes it difficult to see the show's own lovable uniqueness. As for the story itself, the only time I ever really lost the plot was when they were telling the story of some other team. I'm unsure as to whether I just lost interest or I just didn't care much for the side characters. It's also possible that the show didn't do the storyline any justice, so it's up for debate, I don't know. I also worry that despite my high praise, most of my enjoyment of the show comes from liking the characters themselves and not any crazy interesting plot. But if you're watching as a sports anime enthusiast and the matches and the character are the most important thing, then I'd say that it's worth it. Google says that the show is comedic and inspiring, as most sports animes are, and I agree. But even without the baseball theme, getting to witness someone with low self-esteem, zero talking skills, and constantly overthinking leading to almost paranoid conclusions and still connecting with others was honestly truly heartwarming. I'm a sucker for characters I can relate to, especially when they aren't just labeled as shy or as not sociable and then magically becoming an extrovert by the end of the season. For anyone who understands dealing with these issues, those kind of shows can feel unrealistic, but there are exceptions. I'd recommend this show for those looking for a well-constructed baseball-themed anime. It's funny and relatable and just a fun watch while adding a touch of insight into the minds of people. The friendships are very cute and warm, so if that's what you're looking for, then you're welcome. I can't think of any other sports animes that I've watched to compare it with, besides maybe some where their main character was scared to play the sport for fear of some kind. But if you're looking for shows with characters similar to Bocchi the Rock, Hitori Bocchi, Stardust Telepath, and My Roommate is a Cat, and you don't mind the genre difference, then I personally put all of these in the same category, so if you liked one, you'll probably like this one and the rest. So, okay. Oh, goodness. Personally, I believe that if the anime had continued, I'd have watched it and have loved it. I hope to eventually read the manga to get a deeper insight into the plot and the character development. I'm honestly very curious to see how the story continued at the end of Season 2, and I'm sure others will feel the same. Apologies if this was lengthy. I hope that I didn't repeat myself too much. This is my first review, and I'm still figuring out what to say and what not to say. I will say that you should definitely watch the show and find out if what I said was at all accurate to how you felt upon completing it. Both seasons. Big Windup anime.